Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Elden Ring, and today we got a treat. We got to look at some brand new gameplay, and this game is looking, whew, it looks crispy. I'm so excited for this. I'm so ready to jump in. But in this video, I wanted to basically just highlight some of the cool stuff they showed during the gameplay, in case you guys didn't miss it, because there are lots of cool things we got to see. So if you guys are excited about this game, if you guys are hyped for it, if you can't wait for either the closed network test or just the game to come out, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what was your favorite thing you saw from the gameplay, because there's a few real cool things. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, because once the game does come out, we will of course be bringing you some gameplay. So, to begin with, this game is set in the Lands Between, and it looks fantastic. The gameplay began with them sort of just standing out in the open field, just sort of looking all over the landscape that you have to explore. You have this golden tree, the sort of tree of Yggdrasil in the middle. We sort of see castles in the distance, the foliage, just everything about it. It's one of those worlds where just by standing there, you just want to explore. Then one of the first things that you come up to is the Site of Grace, basically Elden Ring's equivalent of the bonfire. This is a place of rest, and you see these located around. They do of course mention that you can use these kind of like a guiding sort of wind to tell you where to go to a degree, but of course you can then also go freely wherever you want. And in order to do that, you can summon your horse, and you can then basically just ride around to your heart's content. And this, of course, given the fact that this is the biggest game they've made to date, this is basically going to give you a good way to get around without necessarily having to trudge everywhere on foot. Then jumping forward a little bit, one of the first things we get to see is just a random dragon that just sort of flies down and just basically wants to ruin your day. They didn't have any HUD on this, so it didn't necessarily have your typical sort of boss name, so to speak. And of course, you didn't encounter this by going through a sort of smoke misty door. This one just seemed to roll up on you. So it seems we'll of course also encounter just those open world bosses, which is going to be pretty exciting. But during this fight, we get to of course see some different combat. One of the awesome ones, this sort of magical ability, I kind of describe it as like the spectral bow. Looks hella cool, and of course you then round it out by stabbing the dragon in the eye. The next thing we encounter is Alexander the Iron Fist. I love some of the characters. Whenever you sort of see these quirky characters in the From Software games, they're always super cool. This guy is a giant pot stuck in the ground, and he's like, yo, help me out. So we help him out. Now, shortly after this, we actually get a look at the map for the game, which in and of itself just looks really cool. Like visually, I just like the map design, but of course they said that this map is expanded by acquiring map fragments. And then of course, as you explore the world, you can set map markers, you can add beacons to help you with directions. So of course, then when you exit the map, you can of course see them quite visibly, giving you kind of a good clear point to run towards. Another thing you can encounter when you are exploring the open world on horseback are these spirit springs. These can basically be used to launch your horse into the air, and as the name suggests, it's like a massive spring. So if you want to get up a giant cliff, then you can actually do that. Now, when it comes to exploring the open world, you will of course also often want to survey the area. You have access to a telescope. This way you can kind of decide the best way to approach things. One of the things they showed in the gameplay was of course going towards this carriage which has some treasure in it. So use the telescope to basically scope out what's down below, and you can then decide your best approach. Following that, of course, we then go in and take them out with some of your usual takedowns, using some other abilities. Lots of cool stuff. Now, one of the new things, of course, for Elden Ring is the ability to summon these spirit companions. This is not the same as summoning, say, friends to help you out, which we'll touch on in a minute. This one is the fact that there are different spirit companions you can call in. They say they vary in the way that they behave and the sort of, way that you can kind of use them. But as you can see, then you can basically call them in to back you up in battle, and they can help take out mobs of enemies. And of course, you will collect these throughout the game, so finding the cool ones, the really useful ones, is definitely something I can't wait to pursue. The next thing they showed was, of course, co-op and PvP. Both of those do return in Elden Ring. They didn't actually show PvP in this gameplay video, but they did, of course, show summoning your buddy, who, of course, you can then go and explore the world with. And more importantly, they then ran into an open world boss, and then they worked together to fight that. And one of the things I do want to call out is, of course, some of these magic abilities look fantastic. One of the ones where you basically have these sort of blue needles raining from the sky. That in itself looks super cool, but then they one-upped it, and this guy just summons like a flaming dragon head and starts breathing fire all over the enemy. I'm like, what? I mean, I'm not normally someone that uses magic, but yo, if that's an option, I might have to dabble in the magical world. We then get a look at Stormville Castle, which of course is one of the big castles that links various different areas in this game world. It looks fantastic. I mean, castles in From Software titles are always pretty exciting to explore, but this one just has such a cool aesthetic to it, and of course it is riddled with enemies. One of the things you'll also notice a lot more in this gameplay specifically is kind of just the freedom to sort of jump wherever you want. Kind of sort of get that feeling that it's like taking some of the best bits of like Sekiro, of course mixed with your regular things like Dark Souls and stuff like that, because this freedom to just not necessarily always follow the beaten track, to kind of just jump up onto ledges and make your own pathways, is actually quite exciting. And then towards the end of the gameplay, we get a look at the boss, the demigod, Godric the Golden. Of course, only a little snippet, because in these kind of games, the boss fights are the centerpieces, so they didn't want to kind of give it all away. But he does seem to hit hard. He's got a lot of crazy moves, but more importantly, during this fight, we also see some more spirit summons. We kind of see this guy with this big like saucer head, and then whether this is a magic ability or whether this is part of the spirit summons remains to be seen, but the ability to summon a spectral sword basically just like turns your sword into like a giant long sword. Yo, that looks awesome. And then to round it out, we also got to look at the collector's editions. There is a collector's and a premium edition. The collector's one has a cool statue, steelbook, soundtrack, art book, stuff like that. And the premium one even has a 1:1 scale helmet. So there you have it, a sort of rundown on what we saw during the Elden Ring gameplay. Lots of cool stuff, lots of stuff that I cannot wait to try out. Again, the closed network test is not that far away. I'm hoping I get a chance to jump in, and if I do, I will definitely be bringing you guys some gameplay. But again, let me know what you guys thought, what stood out to you the most, what are you hyped about, and keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to catch more from us, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest uploads. And if you want somewhere to hang out, play games, or chat all things from games to anime, food to fitness, consider joining the HyperX Gaming Discord.